Hey everyone, welcome to this explainer. Today we're diving deep into NVIDIA CEO Jensen Huang's vision of our AI future, and we're going to translate some of that widespread anxiety into practical, grounded empowerment. If you've been watching the news, you know artificial intelligence is literally everywhere right now, and the predictions about what it means for us are absolutely all over the map. So today, we're cutting through all that noise by looking directly at the insights of the man whose company is quite literally powering this whole revolution. Here is exactly what we're covering today. First, a largely wonderful future. Then, how everyone is a programmer. The future of human value, the physical AI boom, the five-layer cake, and finally, the leather jacket philosophy. Let's get right into it.
All right, let's start by tackling the biggest anxiety head-on. Section 1. A largely wonderful future. Dystopia versus utopia.
So when we look at how incredibly fast AI is moving, you gotta wonder, are we speeding towards some bleak sci-fi dystopia where machines run everything? Or are we heading for an empowering utopia where our biggest problems actually get solved? I mean, this is the exact question keeping a lot of folks up at night. And if anyone has the right vantage point to answer this, well, it's Jensen Huang.
And honestly, his take is incredibly reassuring. Huang argues that our future is going to be, in his words, largely optimistic, largely wonderful. Now, he's not just burying his head in the sand about the risks. He totally gets that. Just like with the progress of electricity or the internet, we have to be super careful. The tech industry has to be rigorous and mindful about building this stuff properly. But the big picture trajectory, it's pointing straight toward a bright, genuinely wonderful future.
Let's move right along to Section 2. Everyone is a programmer. The end of the tech divide.
Think about the entire computing age up to this point. Power was totally bottlenecked. It was restricted to a tiny fraction of the population who actually knew how to code, maybe 30 million people worldwide who could apply it to a career. But today, that barrier is just gone. Simply by speaking plain English to an AI, that massive tech divide is closing fast. Now literally anyone in the world can program AI just by walking up to it and asking it to do something.
Huang actually hit the nail on the head with this. He says, if you're not sure how to use AI, you tell the AI, I do not know how to use AI, tell me how to use AI. That is exactly the mindset we need. A lot of people mistakenly think this tech is way too hard or that it's just something happening to them. No way! Engage with it. If you don't know how to write a program or do research, just tell the AI you don't know how and ask it to teach you. The tool itself is literally designed to elevate your capabilities.
Which naturally brings us to Section 3, the future of human value. Why you won't be replaced. Okay, so if AI can think, code, and teach, what happens to human cognition and our jobs? Well, history gives us a pretty big clue. Looking back at 150 years of the Industrial Revolution, tools replaced grueling tasks, sure, but they didn't eliminate human purpose. Think about calculators. Huang joked he hasn't done long division in years, but he is still insanely busy. Or the washing machine. It ended the physical labor of hand laundry, but doing so birthed the entire consumer appliances industry. As productivity goes up, we create new tech that elevates what humans can do, creating fields we couldn't have even imagined.
The absolute crucial takeaway here is that human value remains constant. The core purpose of a job doesn't fundamentally change just because the tools do. Take a doctor, for example. A doctor's main goal is still to diagnose disease and bring wellness. Now, the tools they use to pull that off in the AI era are going to be completely different, absolutely. But that human goal is exactly the same. So all those predictions saying whole fields like software engineering or radiology will just get wiped out, they're completely missing this dynamic.
All right, let's pivot a bit for Section 4, the physical AI boom, reindustrializing the world.
We usually think of AI as this invisible, digital magic living up in the cloud, right? But the reality is, it's incredibly physical. Because AI needs massive new computer and data center plants across the country, it's actually triggering a huge blue-collar boom. We're talking about a total reindustrialization of our economy here. Suddenly, thanks to AI, jobs like electricians, construction workers, welders, and networking engineers are in astronomical demand.
And to support all this infrastructure, the investments are mind-boggling. Huang actually mentioned the creation of $500 billion in new facilities, and noted we're probably going to make even more. This shift is changing our culture, demanding a whole lot more builders and makers in the physical world just to support the digital one. It's a really grounded, fantastic reality of the AI boom.
Now let's see how this physical reality shapes the geopolitical landscape in Section 5, the five-layer cake, the global AI race.
People love talking about the global AI race, but Huang points out it's a marathon with no finish line. And to really understand it, he visualizes the AI industry like a 5-layered cake, and you gotta count from the bottom up. At the very top, sure, you have the applications, and right below that are the AI models, which is honestly where most people stop thinking about AI. But underneath that, you've got infrastructure and data centers. Below that are the chips. And at the absolute rock bottom, energy.
Energy is literally the foundational layer. You have to lead in energy, because without it, you can't power the chips or the data centers, period. If our country doesn't have the energy to grow, the economy stalls out. And as Huang starkly puts it, if the economy doesn't grow, national security is in serious peril. Everything rests right there, on that base physical layer.
When you master all 5 of those layers, you create what Huang calls a powerful flywheel. Basically, by keeping technology leadership, you compete globally. That protects national security, which boosts the economy, allowing you to export. And that funds the reindustrialization of the country, generating tax dollars that funnel right back into national security. The whole thing happens at once, fueling itself in one massive, unstoppable loop.
All right, for our final part, let's step away from macroeconomics. Section 6, the leather jacket philosophy, automating your choices. Have you ever actually wondered why the guy leading the most consequential tech revolution of our time wears the exact same black leather jacket every single day? I mean, it's completely iconic now, but the reason behind it is surprisingly low-tech and incredibly practical. Huang explains that by standardizing his wardrobe, literally every shirt, pair of pants, and jacket in his closet is exactly the same. He simply eliminates a trivial daily decision. And a fun fact, his wife Lori thoughtfully buys them all for him, so he knows they fit. But because everything is always black, he never even has to think about whether it matches. It's just one less choice to make. What he's doing here perfectly demonstrates a psychological concept called decision fatigue. It's the idea that your brain's capacity to make really good, high-level decisions diminishes after you make a bunch of small, trivial choices throughout the day. By just taking what to wear off the table, Huang preserves his willpower and mental bandwidth for the stuff that actually matters. Like, navigating that whole 5-layer global AI cake. So, I want to leave you with a final thought to wrap up this explainer. Take a look at your own daily routine. What simple, trivial choices can you automate right now to save your energy and willpower? Because in a world where everyone can be a programmer, and AI is ready to elevate your capabilities, your human focus and creativity are your most valuable assets by far. Protect that energy, dive in and engage with the tech, and get ready for a largely wonderful future.